This being the 10th episode actually feels quite fitting. It's a good point to pause and take stock of three things: where engines A and B stand right now, the introduction of ZenWave book, and where engine C research is headed next. So starting with A and B, they briefly peaked out recently towards the end of last week, but they're currently back in drawdown. Engine A around -7% and B around -3%. This is still well within the expected range, and both engines continue to hold open positions. Once these positions close, I'll likely do the next 4 performance tracking episode to walk through how this phase actually played out. But there's one structural update that's important to show. Now that the platform is in place, I can finally do something that I couldn't do cleanly before, and that's ZenWave book. It's a new cTrader copy account where multiple engines trade together at the portfolio level. Rather than each engine risking 1% per trade, risk is scaled down to 0.25% per engine, allowing them to run side by side with shallower drawdowns. Later on, engine C will be added here as well. And when that happens, total book risk will be capped at 0.5%. So with A, B, and C together, each engine will run at roughly 0.166% risk per trade. The same engines, just different portfolio level structure. And this is only possible now because the platform underneath can support it cleanly. Now, in the last episode, I mentioned that I was still finishing what I call Tier 0 or market context. I'm happy to say that that work is now complete, and this is where I want to spend a bit of time. So what you're looking at now is just the bear price chart. On its own, that's actually very little information. So let me turn on the Tier 0 context layer. This isn't strategy yet. It's the market structure the engine will be built against. Same chart now with context. So Tier 0 is the market context defined before any trading logic is designed. It answers questions like, where are we in the day? What session are we in? What volatility regime is active? And how is price behaving relative to recent auction structure? None of this places trades. It just removes ambiguity. So 2 remaining components were finalized since the last update. The first being volatility state. So on the chart, this appears as colored bands. These orangey ones for high volatility and the blue ones for low volatility. And when you don't see them, it's when there's no clear regime. This was tuned programmatically as part of defining Tier 0 context. I still reviewed it visually across history to make sure regime transitions made sense. And now the last piece was the auction state, and this was by far the most complex part of Tier 0. You can see these as these green colored boxes for balance state, and these, let me see a good example. Let me find a good example. You can see these as these orange boxes. So being able to scroll through history with sessions, daily levels, and structure all aligned, it made it much easier to see where auction behavior actually held up and where it didn't. This allowed me to tighten the definitions without guessing. So here's how I'm able to tune it, and I went with these values in the end. Together, these complete Tier 0. Sessions are fixed, daily location is anchored, volatility regimes are defined, and auction behavior is explicit. Whether this ends up being useful long-term, we'll only know with time. But the important part is that the context is now stable, testable, and consistent before any trading logic is layered on top. With Tier 0 complete, market context is no longer fuzzy, and that removes a lot of ambiguity before any short-term logic is even explored. And that's exactly where Engine C begins. At this point, the platform is stable, Tier 0 context is locked in, engines A and B are frozen, and running live. All research effort is now focused on Engine C alpha research. No rushing, no forcing anything live, just structured research on a clean foundation. So that's where things stand. A and B are live and in drawdown. ZenWave book is running at reduced risk. Tier 0 context is finally complete and Engine C research is underway. And I'll keep documenting what works and what doesn't.